It's getting hot in here. Hey everybody, how's it going? Today is definitely one of my not good days. I've been kind of sick most of the day, not throwing up sick or anything like that, but just exhausted, just really out of it. I can't focus on anything. It took me 5 hours to edit today's episode, which is why I got it up so late. I apologize for that, but it's just been a pretty rough couple days this past week, but I'm pushing through. I'm getting content made, I'm sleeping, I'm drinking fluids, I'm taking all the advice I gave you guys yesterday, but it's just a little tough this week. So far today, I made it to my Spanish class, I made it to my Grand Challenges class, but I did not make it to my screenwriting class. It was at that point where I was either going to be asleep in my bed or I was going to be asleep in class. And I think I would much rather be sick in my own bed than sick in my own class. So I decided not to go to class. I emailed my professor about it. I told one of my friends I wasn't going to be there, but it was just one of those things where I'm paying to go to school. I'm paying to go to Chapman, and I'm trying to make it to as many of my classes as I can, but I thought it was just best for me to take a nap and sleep and hopefully recover enough to go to my classes tonight, which thankfully I was able to. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about why I chose Chapman and why I think it's perfect for me. So for most people that go to Chapman their freshman year, you get this question a lot, and it's why Chapman? And how did you find out about Chapman and what made you want to choose it? So I found out about Chapman through my friend Sam Kim, who had a friend named Yuri Sharon who went here. And so through Sam, I got to talk to Yuri, and I got to talk to him about the Dodge College of Film and Media Arts and what exactly is Chapman, why haven't I heard about it before. At the time, I had just thought if you want to go to film school, you got to go to NYU or USC. And since I didn't really know if I had the money for that, I decided I was going to go to Point Park University in Pittsburgh. Point Park is a good film school, it's just not on the West Coast like I wanted it to be. So when I found out about Chapman, I decided to take a look into it. And the more I talked to Yuri and the more I talked to Sam and other people about Chapman, the more I realized how great it is. It's a private university, it's a lot smaller. Right now our student population is 8,000, I believe. So it's big enough that I'm making connections that people are going to be in the industry in the future, but it's small enough that I can stand out. So that's one thing I really liked about Chapman, the size. So in between my junior and senior year of high school, I went on a mission trip to Haiti, and so 2 days after I got home from Haiti, I hopped on a plane with my brother-in-law, Adam, and my sister Karis, and I flew out to Anaheim, California for 3 days. As soon as we landed, we got an Uber to Chapman, and I got to tour the Dodge College of Film and Media Arts, and I was just amazed. Everything they told us on the tour, I was like, this is exactly what I want. We had sound stages, we had professional equipment, we had professional teachers, all these things that are going to help me become the filmmaker that I want to be. And it felt like the industry. It felt like as soon as I walked on the soundstage in the Marriott Studios, it just felt really cool because I felt like I was in Hollywood. And so it was at that point that I realized I wanted to go to Chapman. But then came the problem of getting in and finding a way to pay for it if I did get in. So like everyone else, I had to figure out what I wanted to apply to, what program, what major did I want to get into. And I was thinking for the longest time that I would do film production until I found out that it's a very, very slim percentage of people that got in. And since I'm a straight white guy from Pennsylvania, didn't really think I had much of a chance. But the more I became self-aware and knew myself, I realized that I didn't really want to go into film as much as I wanted to go into TV. And so I looked into the TV program, I thought it was an awesome program, and I realized TV is what I want to do with my life because then I can tell more of my own stories and incorporate my stories into everything that I'm doing. I love The Office, I love Community, Parks and Rec, all those kind of shows that I thought, hey, if I go into TV, I can create these. So as soon as senior year of high school started, I hopped on my applications. If I wasn't at home and if I wasn't at Nike working, I was working on my application where I was working on projects or homework, that kind of stuff. And so my Dodge College application was all I pretty much focused on for 2 or 3 months because I really thought that Chapman was for me and I really wanted to try and get in. I didn't take incredibly hard classes in high school. I've never taken an AP. The hardest class I took was honors chemistry in high school, and so I didn't really think that Chapman was going to accept me for my scholarly classes. Even though I really appreciate knowledge, I just thought, if I'm going to go into filmmaking, why wouldn't I solely focus on film? And so I worked as hard as I could on my creative application, and I thought, if I can write the best essays, and if I can clearly show people who I am, the hardworking, positive, optimistic guy who's going to get things done no matter where I go. I knew that the film school wasn't going to make the filmmaker. The filmmaker is going to make the most of the film school. And so for me, it didn't really matter where I went, but I knew that Chapman had the tools to get me where I wanted the fastest I could. So when I started on my Dodge College application, I realized that Chapman didn't want to see any of my videos. Any projects I had worked on, Chapman did not care. They just wanted to see my writing skills. So I thought, okay, well, let me focus on my essays. So I wrote as many essays as I could. I wrote them about family, about my white hair. I literally wrote an essay about my white hair from my Common App. And so when it came time for me to write my major requirement essay, I was a little nervous about it until I opened it up and found out that the question was, if your family was a TV show, describe an episode. Is it a comedy? Is it a drama? Write an essay, 2 pages or less, describing that episode. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect for me. Like, praise the Lord, this is excellent, because my family's literally a sitcom. So I wrote about this story, which I called it The Dinner Disaster. And it was basically, for my mom's 50th birthday, she and my dad surprised me and my siblings by having a food fight on the back porch. None of us knew it was coming. We ate dinner on the back porch. All of us kids were there, even Adam, my brother-in-law, even my grandma was out there with us. And we had spaghetti for dinner, and then afterwards my dad brought out a cake, and for some reason my mom would not let any of us eat our cake before she did. And so we were all sitting down, we had slices of cake in front of us, and everyone was like, all right, like, seems a little off. There's some weird tension here. And then my dad sat down and said something along the lines of, so Jody, how does it feel being 50? And I'm thinking, Dad, you can't just say that. I know my dad's silly, but I didn't think he was stupid enough to say that. And so as soon as he said that, my mom takes her piece of cake, launches it across the table at him, and it lands in the bowl of Prego sauce right in front of him and splashes everywhere. And that moment, although it was only 2 or 3 seconds, it felt like minutes. I kid you not, it felt like 10 minutes had gone by. And so none of us really moved until 2 or 3 seconds later when someone yelled food fight. And as soon as they said that, I slammed back my chair and I booked it. And I pulled out my iPhone and I just started recording. And I didn't know what I was gonna record, I didn't know what was gonna happen, but I knew that I did not want to be in this food fight. Which is kind of funny because you always think that if you get in a food fight, you just want to be in it and you're going to throw food at everyone, you're going to be the champion, that kind of thing. For me, I did not want that. So I wrote this essay, and there's a lot more to it, and I can share it with you guys if you want. But the entire essay was just about how my family came together for this episode, and it had a lot more drama and more conflict in it. But it was a great episode, and I think that's what helped me get into Chapman, because that major requirement essay was something that was unique, because it was my stories, and Chapman's all about telling your story. So once I got my application sent into Dodge, I knew that I had to get my transcript into them and get everything that I needed to for my application to Chapman by the specific date. I think it was October 31st. So I applied early action, but then this happened. I got the transcript release form to my high school 1 day too late, and they didn't get it to Chapman on time. It was completely my fault, but I didn't get it to Chapman in time, so I got rolled over into regular decision. I was scared out of my mind because I thought that I was gonna be denied by Chapman. If they didn't want me now, they're not gonna want me later, and I just wasn't good enough for Chapman. But I knew that God is in control and God has a plan for my life. So I was so nervous about getting in that I decided to do a fellows interview with the admissions office. And it was going to be a Skype call, but it ended up just being a regular phone call. And I was extremely nervous on the phone, but I talked to this girl named Ishani. And I talked to her and she got to know me, and it was a really great interview. She got to know who I am. I got to talk to her for a little bit, just basically tell her who I am, because I thought if I could just meet them and tell them who I am, and tell them my story, they would see that I'm perfect for Chapman. So this interview was great, but now I just had to be patient and wait for an email. An email that came in March of 2017. Sometime in March, I forget when it was, but I was in my kitchen. I had checked my phone religiously, waiting for this email, trying to see if I got in or not, and I was just so nervous about it that I just prayed constantly about it. Because this is my one shot. I only applied to 2 schools, Loyal Marymount and Chapman, like I said the other day. And so finally, one day I was in the kitchen helping my mom make dinner, and I checked my phone and I got an email from Chapman. The title of the email told me there was an update to my admission status or something like that, which either meant I got in or I got denied. And it was at that moment I was like, all right, Lord, let your will be done. And I pulled out my phone and I read the email, and as soon as I opened it up, there were balloons and confetti flying on the screen, and it said something along the lines of, congratulations, it is our highest honor to accept you, Jack Henry Ruhl, into Chapman University. And as soon as I saw that, I threw my hands up in the air and I said, Mom, I got in. And it was at that moment that I just felt so relieved. All the pressure, all the waiting for the past 6 months was finally over, because I had gotten into Chapman University for television writing production, and this is where I was gonna be. And that was a great moment. I hugged my mom, hugged my older brother Nick, I even cried a tear. I just cared so much about Chapman that I was just so excited about it. But then came the next problem. How do I pay for this? So over the course of the next 5 or 6 months, and even now, I'm still trying to figure out how I can pay for Chapman, but I pretty much had to take out a lot of loans for this. So when people ask me why am I working so hard, why am I doing the Jack Ruhl Show, it's because I can't afford to waste any time. I have to work hard enough that one day I'll be able to pay for Chapman, because right now I have a lot of loans and I have a lot of ambition and I want to take care of my parents, but right now I can't do that when I have student loans. So that's one of the reasons I'm working as hard as I am, because I want to be able to pay off my student loans and start giving back to my parents. And now here I am at Chapman 3.5 months later, and I think it is exactly what I wanted. What Dodge is about here at Chapman isn't making a film by yourself that's better than any of your other students. Chapman is about working together with all of your other fellow students to make a film better than any of you could make on your own. So it thrives itself on collaboration. It talks about how we are the future of the industry. And so one thing I loved about Chapman is that as soon as I showed up, every single person I talked to about the Jack Ruhl show was encouraging about it. And they said, man, that's awesome. Like, if you ever need a cameraman, let me know. I would love to help you out. Or if you ever want a director for a scene, or if you ever want help writing, or filming, or anything, people were willing to help. Back in Pennsylvania, there was a lot of people that tore me down for the Jack Ruhl show idea. I had not even began the Jack Ruhl show yet, and people were ripping me apart for it behind my back. And it's one thing to rip me apart for it in front of me, but to do it behind my back, that was just pretty rough. And it was people that I had been with for the past 4 years who I thought cared about me. And so to go from that situation with those toxic people to being out here at Chapman with the people who are like, hey, we would love to help you out with this. And sure, there might be some people out here who might not believe the Jack Ruhl show works, or who might hate the idea of it. But most people I've talked to, like Justin, and like Joey, and Hunter, and Tori, and Jack Denny, and all those people that are helping me right now, most of those people are supporting me. And most people back home are supporting me. Because of what Chapman has provided me with, I now know that through the Jack Ruhl show, I know who is supporting me and who doesn't support me. And I think Chapman is going to help me get to the point in my life where I need to be. Sure, I'm doing a lot of stuff outside of class with the Jack Ruhl show. I mean, this is a huge part of my life. But Chapman's giving me an opportunity to have an audience and to have viewers be able to see, hey, I'm just a 19-year-old guy who's documenting his journey through film school. It's not to say that everyone needs to go to film school, but I think it's pretty cool that I'm documenting my journey. And I think it's really cool that Chapman is the type of university that sees me doing this. And they say, we want to help you get to where you want to be. Chapman has been totally supportive of everything I'm doing with the Jack Ruhl show. Whether it's the Jack Ruhl show, the Jack Ruhl podcast, the book that I'm writing, everything. Anyone I tell about this, they're like, oh, that's awesome. Keep it up. Encouraging. They're just encouraging and they're supportive, and that's exactly what I need. And I think Chapman is the perfect university for me. So although it was really hard for me to get here, and it's still hard for me to stay here, I think Chapman is where God wants me to be. And I think this is where he wants me to be for the next 4 years. Because through Chapman, I'm going to be able to impact a lot more people than I could on my own. And so I'm super thankful for that. I'm thankful for my parents helping me get here. I'm thankful for the university accepting me and being able to say, hey, Jack, we want you here. And I'm super thankful for the Dodge College of Film and Media Arts. Without the TV writing production program, I probably wouldn't be here. So yes, I am extremely happy to be at Chapman. I'm extremely thankful for everything I have here. Now I'm gonna work my butt off 24/7 to make sure that everything I do here leaves a legacy that is greater than myself. So although I want my legacy to be one of the greatest filmmakers at Chapman, at the end of my life, when I'm on my deathbed, I want everything in my life to point to Christ, so that people can see everything I've done, but not think that it's of me, but because Christ allowed me to do this. Without him, I wouldn't have made it to Chapman. Without him, I wouldn't have the family I do. I wouldn't have the idea of the Jack Ruhl show. So I'm trying to live my life that every single action I do, every single thing I say, every single thing I do, everything in my life reflects towards Christ. Which is the reason that I don't swear. It's the reason I don't do drugs. I don't smoke. I don't drink. All that kind of stuff. Which a lot of people think, oh, that makes you boring. But for me, I know what I want in my life, and I know what I don't want in my life. And so if I keep my personal brand, my reputation, as clean as I can, I want my personal brand and my reputation to say, this guy loves Jesus, and because of him, I want to love Jesus too. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Thank you for sitting here and watching through the whole thing. It means more to me than you know. And I hope through sharing my story of how I got to Chapman and why I chose Chapman, that maybe if you were looking at colleges, maybe you try out Chapman. See if it's for you. And if you have any questions, make sure to let me know. I'd love to help out. Best place to reach me is probably Instagram DM, so check it out there. Well, that's all for today. Justin, what do you think people should do?
Be awesome.
I concur. All right. Catch you guys on the flippity flip. Ooh. So with all that being said, thank you guys for sitting there and watching this whole episode. You good?
Kind of.
You
Sorry. My code kind of works.